Thanks to the Fabulous app for sponsoring this video. Finding the time to declutter can be a challenge. I know sometimes it just goes to the wayside for me and I let it slide and I'm not on top of it. So I think setting short-term reasonable goals is a good way to get back on track and to make sure that decluttering and minimalism is really an integrated part of your life. So today, I'm really excited to share with you a very simple, straightforward 7-day declutter and give you some behind the scenes of what it was actually like for me, some of the challenges I faced along the way. And I'm stoked because the sponsor of this video, the Fabulous app, actually challenged me to do this 7-day declutter challenge. So it's kind of fun that the sponsor of this video is actually the one motivating me to get up and to get to decluttering and tidying just a little bit every single day. And more specifically, I'm going to be doing at least 20 or more minutes of just tidying up. It doesn't have to involve decluttering, but I'm hoping that I can declutter at least one thing, hopefully a number of things every day. Doing a little challenge in a formalized way can really build momentum and help you change how you see and navigate this world. So I think that doing a short-term doable challenge is a great way to get on track. So it's day one, and I thought I would start with something a little bit more fun. I think with declutters, it's smart to start somewhere that's kind of enjoyable to declutter and then ramp up in difficulty. But I decided to go for the bedroom and to work on my closet. And I've gotten rid of several things, but I just thought I would highlight one that I think sheds light on a pattern that I've had that I think just keeps my wheels spinning and keeps me collecting. So I'm going to be real here and just show you something that I probably shouldn't have bought in the first place. And that is this beige cardigan sweater. It's a nice sweater. It does the job. It's very simple. I like the chunky knit to it. But realistically, I just never wear it. And I've tried to declutter it in the past, but I keep finding reasons as to why I should keep it. Maybe because it's a nice size and it's a nice color and I can always use another beige cardigan. It's so easy to throw on to many different outfits. And therein lies the problem that I keep buying the same thing over and over again. I actually think I've talked about this previously on my channel, but I do think that there are certain items that are just traps for me and that I keep constantly seeking the perfect version of that item. But the reality is that there is never a perfect item, or even if there's an item that gets awfully close to perfection for that thing, it only satisfies that particular niche. And then I move on to the next niche. Maybe it's the perfect pair of blue jeans or the perfect white t-shirt. It's a reminder to me that I am continuing to do this. I think that was the big lesson from today, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes. Okay, so today is day 2, and I am decluttering these 2 tongs. I basically was going through my kitchen, doing some tidying, some organization, and I came across these and realized I haven't used these in so long because they're basically all worn out and they're really, really sticky. Like this rubber part has been gradually coming off and they leave this residue on my hands that's really unpleasant. And I've tried to wash them off, I've tried to clean them, but they just are very unpleasant to use, and so I never use them. And they also have hairs starting to stick to them, which is really gross. I'm kind of embarrassed to show this. And so I've realized it's time to let these go. I'm gonna probably declutter a few other things too, but I thought I would just highlight this as an example. Anyway, I guess I will be checking in at some point later on in the week just to show you how it's going. Before we get into that though, I want to give credit where credit is due. This challenge was actually brought to me by the Fabulous app, the sponsor of this video, so I want to take a quick moment to talk about them. The Fabulous app is essentially this digital coach with a bunch of different challenges and motivation techniques and strategies to help you get on track with whatever it is that you're working on in your life. It has a community of over 30 million users around the world, and it makes it easy for anyone to develop and stick to healthy habits thanks to science-backed daily routines. It can be challenging to rewire your brain to develop a new routine or habit, and so Fabulous, inspired by behavioral scientists at Duke and their research, developed this app that helps it make it easier to make those changes. And so Fabulous can help you build healthy habits that actually stick. It's 100% personalized, and you can really go at your own pace. They take two approaches. One is habit tracking, where you can pick among more than 100 recommended habits or create your own. And then there are dedicated behavior change programs that are designed specifically to help you achieve your well-being goals. And I really thought that the Fabulous app used some kind of fun, interesting ways of thinking about these goals that actually helped motivate me. And they often start with something simple, like just reminding you to drink water in the morning, so that it's very doable and feels handleable. Because I get so overwhelmed when I'm thinking about setting goals. What's really cool is I have a fun offer today. The first 100 people to click the link below in the description box will get 25% off a subscription to Fabulous. Anyway, I do want to thank the Fabulous app for challenging me to do the 7-day declutter because I learned a lot. I've been doing some decluttering and tidying up in the basement, and I thought I'd share that I'm planning to declutter the Settlers of Catan board. And we do love Settlers of Catan. Ginger's kind of interested in it right now, aren't you? Oh, do you agree, Ginger, that we should get rid of it? What do you think? Oh, you have an opinion. I think I'm gonna have to take her out and then come back to this. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I just took Ginger out. Anyway, so I'm planning to get rid of this Settlers of Catan board because basically we don't use this one because we have more than one. We have duplicates. And sure, maybe sometimes it's good to have your favorite board game in more than one form, but ultimately we don't need two. And considering I'm trying to pursue minimalism, I can't believe that we did have more than one. It's just completely unnecessary. One really cool thing is that for our wedding, we're so into Settlers of Catan that Andy's groomsmen made him a customized Settlers of Catan board, which is pretty cool. I think you can do it on like Etsy or something. Anyway, we use that one and it's really high quality, so we don't actually need to have this one. Anyway, thought I would explain that thought process and why I'm decluttering something that we actually really like. It's another day, and today I did some decluttering of my basement pantry. I did some tidying, and I got rid of a bunch of stuff that was either expired or I just truly haven't used it, and I will donate it or give it to somebody. And if it's truly expired and way past the date, then I will just have to throw it in the trash. Kind of a wake-up call that I need to be using the stuff that's already in my pantry even more than I try to already. But I wanted to share an example of one thing I decluttered, which is I'm planning to declutter this bag of chips that is truly old and fully stale, and I don't think anyone wants to eat these. I think it's a reminder that sometimes we have food in our homes that's just sitting there that we can make and be creative with so that we don't always have to buy new groceries, go out to eat. It's a way to save a little extra cash. And so I'm going to try to make some things that were already down there a little bit more this week. Okay, that's it for today. So I feel like something I haven't mentioned much in this process is that during declutters, quite often I come across just straight up garbage or recycling that I need to get rid of, like little parts of things that somehow got left behind. And I feel like that's a part of tidying and decluttering I don't often hear about. So I just wanted to be open and say, as I'm doing these little declutters and tidying sessions this week, I am finding random stuff that I should have dealt with earlier, but I just didn't. And I think sometimes just taking the time to do these regular little tidying sessions can be so impactful in just getting rid of that extra recycling or garbage that it's just time to get rid of, but you just don't tend to get the impetus or momentum to do that. So just wanted to be open about that. So, one other thing I thought I would share for today's tidying session, which, as you can see, I've been doing in my first floor bathroom, is that I have this huge thing of hair binders or elastics, whatever you want to call them. For some reason, my sister and I always call them binders. I don't know where we got that. Anyway, there's so many of them. I don't need all of these, especially because I more recently have been just using like hair clamps on my hair. So what I thought is I will keep some of them, especially the blonde ones, but then offer some of these to my sister so that maybe if she's looking for some hair binders, she can just take some from me rather than getting her own set of like a million hair binders. So yeah, good thing I went through this little bathroom area. So that was my 7-day declutter challenge. And now I just want to chat a little bit about some of the bigger picture lessons I learned or surprises I came across as I did this challenge. I think the first thing I noticed from doing this little challenge was that I actually wasn't integrating tidying and decluttering into my life as much as I had previously thought. Like, it's not that I don't do a little tidying every day, but often it's far less than 20 minutes, or I'm not doing it in an intentional, thoughtful way. But I think that doing a challenge that forced me to be more intentional about the process made it kind of stick in my mind a little bit more, so that the whole idea of minimalism and being content with what I have actually kind of came up for me more throughout the day than it usually does. You know how when you just do something that reminds you of something that's important to you every day, it's like you start to care about it more and maybe you start to do more in other ways. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just by making it a part of my routine, it made it all more salient to me and I was more focused on it. Not in a way that took away from other things going on in my life, but just in a way where I made more space for it. The second thing I noticed was that just decluttering a little bit was actually quite easy. Sometimes I feel like I have to have like the best possible declutters that are super big and dramatic for them to count. But sometimes just getting rid of 1 or 2 or 3 things a day can make a huge impact on your space and I think your overall stress levels. A third thing that I learned is that once I made it a part of the routine, it got easier. Once you start doing something in a repetitious way, I think it just feels like less of a challenge or an uphill climb just because it's part of the routine, it's part of your day. I'd really encourage you, if you haven't done any kind of challenge like this, to maybe give it a try because it just makes decluttering feel less overwhelming and like it's a more reasonable goal to have. Make life easier on yourself, make decluttering easier on yourself by doing it more regularly. I think another lesson I learned during this challenge was that just because I've kept something during a previous declutter doesn't mean I shouldn't declutter it now. I think that was a double negative, so hopefully I got that right. But sometimes I just feel like when I do a big declutter and I keep stuff, it means like, oh, I've decided on that stuff. I've made the right decision. And it makes it almost harder for me to declutter it later. Tell me if you've experienced this too, because maybe I'm just weird in this way. But for some reason, once I feel like I've decluttered an area or space of my home, I feel like, oh, I've got it. That area is covered. But in reality, if I go back to it quite often, a bit later, I'll notice, wow, I didn't use this belonging in X amount of time. I really don't need it. And just because I thought I needed it then doesn't mean I was right about that. And so there were a number of times in this declutter where there were things that I was like excited to keep in a previous declutter that I realized just weren't worth it to me, weren't worth the space, weren't worth the time, weren't worth the effort or storage. And so I was able to part with them, having a new way of thinking about it, that every declutter is a fresh chance to get rid of something that really doesn't need to be there and to clear up space in your life for what's important to you. We're always allowed to change our minds about our belongings and to give ourselves more space for what we really care about. Anyway, those were some of the lessons I learned this week while I did this declutter. I'd encourage you to try it out and to check out the fabulous app via the link below. If you ended up enjoying this video on any level, I'd really encourage you to hit the thumbs up button. Liking this video does a lot to help it get out to more people. It's a great way to help support this channel in more ways than you might realize. So if you're willing to just take that moment to hit the thumbs up button, I'd really appreciate it. And please feel free to share in the comments below if any of you decide to do this challenge or what you think about a challenge like this, other challenges that have worked for you. But that's pretty much all I have for you today. Thanks so much for spending this little bit of time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.